Lab5 today. And then we hop to our side. And then we have lots of questions for our side. So we just quickly go through how to use the Lab5. And you can download the Lab5. Basically, today we will just do some simulation on the MATLAB for the day. So by doing this task, we need to check how to download the MATLAB and how to install the toolbox. So we have three comments for the way. The first one is how to do the MATLAB installation. Because every university student will have their free access to the MATLAB. So just download the stuff right away.
Sorry, I can't hear that well. I can't. The microphone seems far away.
How about now?
Yeah, that's better.
Yep. Okay, so let's just quickly go through the Lab5 for today, and then we jump to the assignment. I will explain some assignments specification as well. So for the Lab5, it's about the Bluetooth stuff. We are going to do some simulation on the MATLAB and understand how the Bluetooth channel hopping works. So we have three stuff for Lab5 for today. First one is to do the MATLAB installation. Basically, you have a free version for the MATLAB. Just go to this link and download your MATLAB. And you can also create an account to download the file. So after you download your own MATLAB, should be something like this. Like this. I'm not sure about the MATLAB online version. Maybe you can have a try. Yeah. And once you launch your MATLAB, you need to install the toolbox to get it run with this script. So how to install the script? How to install the toolbox is pretty simple and straightforward. Just click the button, get more apps. And on the add-on explorer, try to type and search the communication toolbox. In my end, it's pretty slow here. So basically just search communication toolbox before you do the lab. Yeah, this one, communication toolbox. Make sure you install this one already. And that's the installation part. And then we can do our lab 5. Firstly, we need to have a look of the Bluetooth algorithm, channel hopping algorithm. There is a PDF file containing lots of technical details of Bluetooth. If you go to page 2644, you will be able to see the channel selection algorithm. And all you need to do is just go through this page and understand how this one works, especially for this figure. Like, as you can see, maybe you have already learned it in the lecture, like how the Bluetooth select the channel. Unlike the Wi-Fi channel, it's always a fixed value. The Bluetooth channel is always changed. Like, for example, if we want to send uh, a file from device A to device B via Bluetooth, then the Bluetooth will select a lot of different channels to send the file if the file is very large. Because for every single packet on Bluetooth, we will try to hop to another channel to avoid like congestion or interference. And this algorithm is to help us to select which channel are we going to use for next packet. So we can open the Bluetooth, but we can open the MATLAB and just run the command to simulate this kind of scenario. If you type the command and click the run button, then you will be able to see an interface like this. The interface, you can see we can select the algorithm number 1, number 2. Today we only focus on the algorithm 1. And you can select the hop increment, like how many channel are we going to hop for each different time. And then the channel map, which means which channel are the available channel. So if let's say we don't have first 10 channel available, so from channel 1, channel 0 to channel 9 are not available in here. We only able to start at channel 10, right? To channel 36. And how many hops do we want to generate? You can click to visualize it. Just click run it, and it will generate some animation of how we select the channel. And at last, it will generate a statistics of this one, just like this. So let's try to understand how this works. Let's just zoom in a little bit and put the algorithm at the right hand side. So at the first figure here, you can see like what does this mean? X is 0, Y is 15. The Y is the channel, X is the like event counter. So at the step 0, we are at channel 15. And at step 1, we are at channel 10. So why are we starting at 15 here? So it's very easy to understand, right? Because the increment is 5, and all the available channel are starting from 10 to 36. So we can only select the channel between 10 and 36. And the reason for the first one is 15, it's okay. But why do we choose channel 10 at the next step instead of 20. So you need to have a look of the algorithm and understand how does this work. Basically, you have two different equations under this chapter. So use that equation. It's also in here, I reckon. Should be something more than not in here. I think it's in here. You can see that's how we select the channel. You need to do some calculate. You need to do the calculation to get the channel for the next hop by looking at these two equations. So in the report, you are going to explain why they changed from the channel 35 to here, why we choose 13 at the next step instead of channel 10 or channel 12, and why does it come to the channel 18 at this point. Is that okay? Let's go through the PDF file and understand the algorithm so you can explain this kind of graph. And when you run the simulation, you need to select like 2.4 gigahertz operating on Wi-Fi channel 1. What does this mean? Uh, so the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi is running on channel 1. You need to figure out what is the bandwidth of the Wi-Fi. So for example, if they have some overlapping between the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, so the Bluetooth will consider these channels are not available. So you need to do your selection here. For example, the Wi-Fi channel 1 is running in this kind of frequency from channel 2 to channel 6. So you just need to select them as gray box and then run the simulation. So firstly, you need to understand what is the frequency of the Wi-Fi channel 1. And then you need to unselect or select some of the box in this interface. Let's say maybe first 5. And then set the channel hops to 10, set to 10. And then click generate. Sorry, number of hops should be in here. This is 10, not 100. And the hop increment should be a random value or 5. Yep, you can choose your own hop increment. So yeah, let's just choose value 5. And you will get something like this. So in your report should be something similar to this. And then you just like have a screenshot of this one, put it in your report. And then in the report, you also need to create a table to explain why the value is like this. Like do some calculation based on the channel hopping. Like step 0, how can we get channel 5? And step 1, how can we get channel 10? And step 6, why are we at channel 35? And 7, why are we jump to channel 8? But your image may not be the same as mine, because in here I just randomly select some bad channel. So you need to figure out what is the bad channel at first. Could be from channel 0 to channel something like 9. You need to have a double check. So your figure and output may not be the same as this one. And once you get this kind of figure, then you need to explain how they hop to the next value. You need to perform some calculation to explain. And that's it for the lab 5. So the hardest part for this one is how to identify the channel 1 frequency and figure out what's the frequency on Bluetooth channel. So you need to know what is the channel width for the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth. And then go to the PDF file, go to the page 2644, and understand this chapter and explain it. Is that okay? You can try to do some calculation during this session, and let me know if you have any trouble. And I think maybe we want to spend more time on the assignment for today, because due is on Friday. We really want to spend more time on that part. And for this one, I will try to extend the submission date to Friday, next Friday. So you have more time to do this one. I reckon maybe you want to spend more time on the assignment thing. If you want to get a good result, maybe collect multiple times for the assignment phase 1 and do some data cleaning job. And yeah, just feel free to ask any question regarding to the assignment and the lab session. We have some question. He says map channel is a good channel or bad channel. Does that mean for the first question we select all the box, and for question 2 we unselect all the box and providing reasoning? Yeah. So explaining this one is like, so you have 3 tasks. For the first task and second task is basically explain the algorithm. So you don't need to do any simulation for the first 2 tasks. So the task 1, task 2 is explain. Just go to the PDF file, explain how this equation work, like unmapped channel, right? And explain algorithm 1, unmapped channel is a good channel. So maybe you want to refer to this one, like refer to this figure. If unmapped channel is a good channel or not. If yes, then what do we do? If no, then what do? We do some calculation, right? And in the task 3, we are going to do some simulation with MATLAB. do we submit all in one CSV? And do we submit scripts or only talking reports? So for the assignment, we only need to do one submission for CSV file. So merge all the files into one CSV file. And you don't need to do the scripting, but if you do have some code, feel free to upload to GitHub and mention the link in the report. Yeah, if you are using very like creativity method to collect your data, you can also mention in the report. Yeah, true. So we don't encourage to share the script, but actually, it's okay for the like coding stuff. Others can copy your code. That doesn't really matter because they cannot copy your CSV file. Don't upload your CSV file. Yeah, as long because every computer is different. So usually this code will not able to work in another computer. So you can post your scripts anywhere. Yeah, basically you can like you can share your scripts. It's okay. But for the data collection, you have to do it by yourself. Like you can share your method or tools to other students. It's definitely okay, but just don't have a other student to do the collection. Yeah, definitely. If you want to share your screen, feel free to do it. Uh, yeah. You are putting some
Hey,
dots
hey,
on your project.
yes, that's correct. So so all those dots, I've collected data at these locations.
Yeah.
That was the board, I believe, like this.
Mm.
Would this be a good amount of data? It was collected roughly about during a duration of a 3 to 4 day period. And I collected 2 datas in the evening because of work requirements, and I collected one in the afternoon morning session on the weekend.
Let me have a check.
Yeah.
So for the main work, I think maybe you can put more dots if possible. If you still have time, maybe try to run one or two more sessions. I think the coverage looks good, especially for the uh like on that area like around the point 4.
Okay.
That is pretty good. But maybe you can cover more points. Like every time, maybe you can go to. I reckon like by this method, maybe you just select one of the points and then do the collection, and then you move to another point, right? And
Yeah,
do the
that's correct. Yeah. Yep. So I
yeah.
pretty much for example, if I was to talk about number one, I stood there, got the data, and then
Mm.
moved to location two, stuff like that. Yeah. But the radius was about 5 meters or something of
Yeah, I
the
understand.
longitude latitude. So yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. It's like usually for outdoor area, the accuracy is around 5 meters to 10 meters. And so this one, I would say not bad, but like the ideal method to do the collection is do the collection while you're walking. So it will be very hard for the synchronization of the GPS information and your data collection. So if you are able to figure out how to do the collection during the working, then you will have more data. But with this method, like it's easy to get started. But as you can see, like for the main work, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 6 different points for the main work of the that road. Maybe you
Mhm.
can get, and for other areas the same. So try to cover different points at different collection with this way.
Okay,
But
sure.
but it looks good for me for now because you still have a couple of days. If you can like conduct more collection in different points, that will be sufficient.
So do you reckon maybe like this area, the village green area, maybe I need a bit more because I feel like this area was covered. Like you can see there's a lot more dots on this area, I guess.
Yeah, so for that playground, you can collect more points. So you can say, cover most of the area during a different session. It's okay.
Okay, all right. Thanks for that.
Yeah, but the visualization is good. So that's basically how we judge your data collection. We will just do the same thing and
Mhm.
try to have a look like which area did you cover. As I can see, you cover most of the area, but the density is maybe it's a problem because the way you collect the data is just moving to next point, right? It's not uh, do the collection during the working. So the density is not very good for now, but you can improve it.
Okay, thank you.
And of course, for the time span, because you have already done some collection, and then if you still doing more collection during this week, then we can see you have to data collection for let's say 2 weeks, and for let's say 5 different days, then we can consider the time span is pretty good.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Rui, thank you. Try that next time.
Yeah, that's all good. The data collection for you is pretty good. Just keep going. Yeah, feel free to ask any question for the assignment and labs because really it's approaching the due for our submission for the phase 1. We do have lots of different questions. I want to check if 97,000 rows of data is enough for each transfer around 100 rows of data. I'm not pretty sure the data is enough or not by looking at the amount. But we need to plot it, just like what we did. Yeah, I understand. Like for each timestamp, maybe you get 100 rows. Yeah, looks good. Yeah, it seems you are running some script to get it, so you get lots of data in your data set. That's a good thing. But another thing you want to make sure is the coverage of the map. Just try to plot something like that on the map and see if you miss any area in the location. And of course, check out the time. We want you to do like several collection across in several days. How did you manage to mm, that much collection? I think he's doing some like scripting stuff. But she 3 collection per day for 3 days, good. I think that should be enough. 9 collection. But like I said, like the quality of each collection is important. And a lot of students are asking about the channel width problem. So I'm not sure if you're having this problem or not, the channel width. So for the channel width, I know it's not easy to get the correct information with the API. So maybe you want to like use the third-party tools, like this kind of tools. You can get some channel width because the setting of the router is usually fixed. So the channel width will not change easily. So after you getting your own data set, maybe you can run some third-party tools and work again, or just do this kind of collection during your working. Just open the software and it will have all the records in the software, and then you just mapping the BSSID to the width. So you don't want to spend a lot of time to a single column here, especially for the column that is not very important. Like channel width is usually a fixed value, so don't worry too much about this part. Either you can run this kind of software, or you can try to run a program like Win32 Wi-Fi. Like with this library, you may be able to get a channel width. So have a try of this one. I saw some students are running these scripts to get the channel width. And feel free to use any tools or any libraries to get the information. If you are using Mac, just the same idea. Either you can use this kind of software, or you can just figure out how to get it through the terminal. We have plenty of resource in the forum, so you can search. They are asking a lot of questions about the channel width and other stuff. You know, another thing I want to mention is about the templates. So we have a template in here in the Moodle link. Maybe we can show you how to create and add rows, something like that. You can either use your Excel to do this, or you can use pandas in Jupyter Notebook. Let me try to open my Jupyter Notebook. Maybe this one. This is my VLab. I just try to open the CSV templates. This one, use CSV templates by using my Jupyter Notebook. CSV templates. Use the script to run it. So import the pandas to read the CSV file with very easy method.
I think your
So-
screen isn't sharing.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
Uh, in here, yeah. So we have some. So maybe I also missed this one. Win32 Win Wi-Fi. So if you want to get the channel width or other information with your batch command, try this one. If you are using Windows, for the app for the Mac, you can get a channel with the system tools. Let me know if you have other trouble, but actually this problem can easily handled by third-party tools like Matplotlib. You can just keep it running during your collection, and you will record all the channel width in the table, even it disconnected. And you can just do the mapping of BSSID to channel width, right? So don't spend lots of time in one single column. You need to get a lot of data at first. So that's for the channel width. And the next one is our data template, CSV template. We have this file in the Moodle link. You can just download it, and based on this, you can create your own data set. Just delete the records inside and input your own data. So for the first column is the time. Just remember, use the timestamps. If you are using like other kind of formats, you will lose marks. And like the operating system and the network interface should be a fixed value if you are using one device to do the collection. So it should be always the same if you just use your own computer. And the GPS latitude, longitude, just some float, and accuracy usually between 5 to 35. And the SSID, for the SSID, you need to include not only the Uniwide, but also all the surrounding SSID, like EDU-ROM or UNSW students, or someone even like create some hotspot around you. You just put it inside the table. And for the BSSID, for example, the Uniwide may have different BSSID. Just put them all in the table. And the Wi-Fi standard, just basically you can get it in the shell command. And for the frequency, usually we can get it through the API or command line. If you can't get it, for example, you are using Windows, and some of the Windows machine are not able to get the frequency. So maybe you can like specify the frequency by looking at the channel, because the channel for 5 gigahertz is 36 and above. So 36 to like 70 something, and then from 100 to 165. So it does have totally different channel number for 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. So it's very easy to identify what's the frequency of it by looking at the channel number. And we do have this kind of discussion on the forum. Just currently have a check. And channel width, as I mentioned before, just use some tools to get it. And the ISSI, you already know how to get this one in Lab 2. And the noise level is the same. If you are using Windows, just leave it blank. Otherwise, if you are using Mac, just put a value here. It should not be a very hard task. And for the public IP address and network delay, it's the content of Lab 4. If you already done it, maybe you have some idea how to get it. So for the public IP address, it's very straightforward. You can either check by searching online here, like my IP address. Yeah, just some web page will be able to present your IPv4 address. Just copy this value to your table. But like just pay attention. Every time you disconnect it and connect back to the Uniwide, you may have different IP address. That's pretty normal. So every session you may have different IP address. So make sure this IP address is correct. It's not the local IP address, it's public IP address. And if you are using Mac or Linux or something like that, you can also run the command. So for Linux, it's IPADDR, but for Windows and Mac, they are different command. Just search it. It's pretty simple command, and it will be able to show your IP address in the command line in here, right? 129 point blah blah point 93. You can see it's the same. So that's the IP address. Because we are able to get the IP address by connecting to a website, but connecting to a access point. So we are not able to get the public IP address for other access point. So don't worry about that part. So in here, in the table, the public IP address and network delay is only for Uniwide, only for Uniwide. For other SSID, you don't need to test these two. So just leave it blank. And that's all the stuff. And in here, I just use this one to print out the type of each column. So before you do the submission, you can have a try of the script of the format checking. It's available on the Moodle link. It's a script. Should be available on the Moodle link. You can just open Moodle and find it. Let me try to find it in my end. Yeah, this one. Yeah, it's a format checker. So it will do 4 different checks. Firstly, we'll check the column number and column name. And then it will check any unspecified columns that this script cannot understand. And it will also check the rows are identical, because sometimes we will collect some duplicate rows. If you are using scripts, try to remove them. And last, it will check the data formats. Like, for example, some of the columns should be in string format. Some of them are using float. So have a double check. You can try to run it. So when I run this script, it will say, give the CSV file path. So I just copy the path. For example, I'm running with this one. Properties. And the name of it. And it will do some checks. It will firstly read the CSV file, and it will check the column amount. It will check the name of column, and we will also check some duplicate rows. And if the column type is not correct, and it will also specify in here, because I'm running with the template, so it doesn't have any error. Maybe you can have a look of your own data set and try to run this one. But this one is just for your information. It's not exactly how we test your data set, but will be the same idea. Like, for example, in here, it's just very simple type test. For our testing, you may have more comprehensive testing in this part, but the idea is the same. For our report, if we just make table that says we get data for each column of CSV and then talk about experiments, is that good? Yes. So for the report, like 1 or 2 page should be enough. Just explain how you do the data collection. For example, how you collect the GPS information and how you uh like match the GPS time or other stuff with your own data set. Just let us know how you do the collection column by column. Yeah, we are talking about paying the Nextbot. Usually we are not encouraged you to pay any softwares, but yeah, if you think it's necessary, you can buy it. But actually, we have lots of like available tools online. But like most of them are requiring to pay for it. Like if you select just search free Wi-Fi analyzer. I remember we do have a list of the analyzer. Like this one is the most popular one, Solar Winds. And next word in SS idea. Maybe if you don't want to pay for them, maybe you can have a check of different softwares. Maybe some of them are able to output as a file, I guess. Or you can just screenshot and apply some OCR to translate the picture into a table or into some strings. So you don't need to pay for it. And Wireshark, of course. The Wireshark will require you have a lot of data processing techniques. Actually, the Wireshark can do all the tasks, but it's pretty hard. Like you can just keep it running, like open the recording function of Wireshark. If you are using your Mac, should be able to capture the broadcasting and probe packets. But during the collection, maybe you need to open the monitor mode and to get all the packets. Then in all the packets, you will be able to find the information for that we need. So I don't recommend to use Wireshark because it's very hard and complicated to set it up. But like Wireshark is actually pretty strong tools. Yes, please make sure your submission, like for your data type, is the same. If you look at the marking rubric for the in the Moodle, here, like we have some marks for the data quality 4 marks. You need to have a high quality data set. The label is clear. So running that script will help you to identify you have the correct label or not, correct label or not. So just make sure the label name, like each column's name, is just the same as the template, or just the same as the specification at the top. So just the same file. Just make sure they have the same name for each column. Maybe you are using some dash or using some you don't be missing this part, something like that. So just make sure you have the same name for each column. Can we check a script you show? Yes, it's already in the Moodle link. So it should be something in here. It's in here. Format checker. It's in Moodle. You have a look in Moodle. And yeah, just basically check the formats referring to that table. And what's next? High quality correct formats. So in general idea, just keep the type is correct. And then, for example, you are using 5 gigahertz, then you always type 5 gigahertz or 5 over there. So do not have different formats in different rows. And there's no redundant data. So it's very easy, right? Just delete the redundant data. So this part, you should be able to get 4 marks just by checking the formats and checking this document. And for the like data volume and distribution is not an easy task. I would say do more collection, like multiple times, different days to get a high mark. So it's time-consuming task. It's better to get started very soon if you haven't done it yet. And for the report, just follow the guidelines. Just help us to understand how you do the collection. If you are using scripts, how's your scripts? Maybe give us some screenshots. If you are doing manually, it's also okay. Just show us your idea. And if you are able to like visualize your data set, just put it in your report as well. If you are able to visualize the coverage map or the time span map, you can also put it in your report and it can help us to understand it. But it's just optional. So for the phase 1, it's actually not very hard. It's basically the content we learned from week 2 to week 4. It's just a time-consuming task. And for the phase 2, we will have more details in after week 6. Basically, we will release a public data set. So it's not really relevant to the phase 1. So even you get very bad performance in the phase 1, like you get only 3 marks over 10 for the phase 1, you can still get 4 marks for the phase 2 because it's report writing and presentation. So it's just like testing your understanding on problem finding and solution proposal. And we can talk more about phase 2 after week 6.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
I have 2 questions. One is about the channel. By collecting the data, I got something like 1 comma plus
Yeah,
1.
plus 1.
Yeah.
Just leave the first channel number.
Okay, thank you. And another question is, do we need write the data with the completely same format, such as frequency. In the specification, it is just 5, but in the example, it is 5HZ. Do we need to write completely same as the example, or 5HZ is okay?
Like this one.
Yeah, like
So
frequency.
so what do you mean?
The frequency.
The frequency. You mean maybe in your column is 5.
Yeah.
I think it's okay. We can normalize this one as long as we can understand it. Like you put it 5 gigahertz or 5, we can easily understand this one. Then it's okay. We will normalize this one later on.
Okay.
It's
Thank
okay.
you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
maybe you can align with this one, like 5 gigahertz. It's not easy. It's not a hard task to convert.
Okay. And another question is about the network interface.
Yeah.
Do Mac OS users just write airport? Is okay?
Yeah, it's usually airport.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it's usually airport for Mac. These two values should be the operating system and never interface. Usually a fixed value, so don't worry too much about this part.
Okay, thank you.
And the Mac, you can say Mac or Mac OS or something like that, as long as we can understand this part.
Okay.
And the public IP address. Yeah, this is just for unified. If you are like, for example, you are doing some collection, and let's say you have another call edu rom, and you just leave it blank in this part. You don't need to get the IP address and never delete for other SSID. And for the title of the CSV file, is you can just follow the specification or the template. It will have no penalty if you have the same. Like for the like for example, in the specification we say it's time. You can use this time. Or in the template we slightly. I'm sorry. It's not in capital. It's lowercase. It's okay. So either you follow the templates or follow the specification, you will have no penalty.
Thank you.
And for the data collection, for example, the first time maybe you do, because for most of us, we are using a fixed point method. Like we select a point in the map and do the collection, and we move to another point and do the collection, and we move to another point to do the collection like this. You can do it this by manually collecting the data. It's okay, but every time you may go to different spots, right? I mean, every collection. For example, in Monday, you do this 3 point and more points as well to cover the whole area. to like this. You go to different points in the map, in the area to get all the information. And then we call this one a collection, one collection. And in Friday, you do the same. You can either go to the same point, or this time maybe you can try to go to different spots. It's also okay. So it doesn't really matter. So all we care is about the density of the points with this method. So if you are running a script, you don't have this problem because you just walking and do the collection at the same time. So you will have lots of points in the map. But if you are manually doing the collection like this, just try to cover all the area. But you can just do the same point collection. It depends on you. So try to cover the whole area. But with this method, like I would say, it's not a perfect way to do the collection because you are manually collected. So the efficiency is not very good. You may spend more time than other students who are using the script to get a higher marks. But this way is definitely okay. Yeah, we have a help session tomorrow. Feel free to come to the help session for our assignment. If you haven't done it yet, like for the data collection, I strongly recommend to have a try today, so you can figure out what's the problem, and you can get some assistance. Like for example, you have some trouble with programming or with some tools, or some of the column you don't have idea to how to get it. Just bring the question to the session, and I'll help you out. You can find the help session information on the ad forum and in the Moodle link. And if you already have some data set in your hand and want to have a discussion with me, you can feel free to do it. Maybe 10 minutes later, I will stop recording. So you can like share your screen with your data sets. We can have a quickly look, and yeah, maybe I can give you some advice.